Okay, folks, we're going to start our study session. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Common Council chambers. This is the study session for the regular meeting that will take place on February 18th. I imagine we'll have some commissioner deeds, correct, Ryan? Councilor Caldwell?
Thank you, Pro Tem Hogan. Blessings to everyone. I have items 9 through 16. And Commissioner Byrd.
Good afternoon, councilors. So number 9 is coordinated care services to accept amount not to exceed $24,319 for park youth expansion programs.
Okay, this is something that happens
Every year.
Every year.
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
For 10, 11, 12, and 13. I'm still going.
Okay.
They're all amendments for 3-year terms of renewals. So the first one being planners, on behalf of planners and engineers, it's architectural services for 10 through 13. Those would include projects like Homer Wheaton, Kirk Park Memorial, the trail side. So those are all the architectural services. We're in the 3rd year.
So can you make sure I didn't see that. Can you make sure that it's put in?
Noted. Yep, for which projects?
Yes, just
yes.
so we have
Got it.
information.
Yep.
On that one.
They were all, I think, originally RFP, correct?
They were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And our trees.
I'm gonna have Steve talk. Steve, for 14 and 15.
Hey, Saisha, since you said it, where are we with Homer Wheaton? With the improvements?
Homer Wheaton, we have, we're waiting to order the precast concession stand, bathrooms. So we had to figure out if it could actually be brought up the hill and placed. And now that we know it can be placed, it will be ordered.
The neighborhood's been waiting a long time.
Yep.
Real bathrooms.
Yep.
I think that's
Real
one of the things that moving forward on anything we do in our parks, we have to make sure that they have real bathrooms with real running water.
I
So,
agree.
thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Steve Harris, City Arborist, here requesting authorization to approve authorizing bonds, and authorizing capital dollars and then bonds to increase the total amount of our tree planting capital to $335. There is a minor error in here. We have already previously we're actually asking for 160 additional capital dollars, not 175.
No, 175,000 was what the original ordinance from 20.
That is correct.
Approved. So the new total amount of 335 is that addition of 160,000.
But the letter says total amount not to exceed 175. So that's where my confusion is on that. I was expecting it to say 160.
It's an increase of 160,000.
It is. That's okay.
Right,
So
for
yeah,
a total amount of 130 or 335,000.
That is
Those bonds
correct.
haven't been issued yet.
and the reason for this is that we had 4 years of IRA funds lined up to keep us planting at the rates that we had started under ARPA, and this gets us through this spring.
So Steve, on this, I was talking to Commissioner, where are these trees being planted? Like, do we know where you're gonna plant these trees at?
We are working on a planting plan for spring and all over town. Typically 2/3 are in low and moderate income neighborhoods and the remaining are in other parts of the city.
So one of my big questions behind this is, yes, we do need trees, but I wanna make sure that they're lined up with the sidewalks and this pipe that are going in, so that we're not duplicating like services over. I've already talked to, I'm not sure what your title is. Corey, I don't know if Corey's in title. Chief, okay, Chief. I've already talked to Chief Driscoll about this whole process. So I just want to make sure I'm okay with the trees, and I think we're all are, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that they're lined up with whatever is going on with the process of the sidewalks and everything. That is, it's not like you're planting trees and then you got to remove them, and they're doing the sidewalk, and now they're doing that. That is aligned into the same process.
We collaborate pretty well with all the other departments, trying to match up all their capital improvements with ours, and trying to build things to last, so that if we're planting a tree, we're not heaving a sidewalk again. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
so what what I'm saying is, before we go ahead and approve this, is that make sure that you have already, I know, Chief Driscoll said that they were working on a plan, that everything is aligned. So I just want to make sure that you guys have all talked, all three groups have talked, and make sure it's aligned before we go ahead and say, oh yeah, plant trees, and then we have to redo. I just don't want us to have to redo over.
Understood.
Okay,
For us, standard operating procedure.
okay.
But
Thank
you're
you.
still making every effort to add to the tree canopy in some of those challenged neighborhoods, Steve, like you've been doing the last few years on the near west side, for instance?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
We do. Any other questions for me? Thank you.
Good.
Lastly, item 16 is the authorized public art initiative to purchase T-panels. They're precast concrete panels that will go on Lipe Art Park on Fayette. They will be similar to the ones next door to the Parks building. The difference with these is they will be painted. Artists will paint them, and every year they'll be repainted. So there'll be new art design on them every year. Any questions?
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, Commissioner, at some point, maybe yourself and my, Councilor Caldwell and me, we could talk about like bathrooms and things like that, as far
Okay.
as like keeping them open as long as possible, maybe using some seasonal people.
We're having those conversations in-house as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And before we go, I know this is study session, but I do want to say, we lost a parks person that had been at our city parks for over 20-something years, and a part of McChesney Park for years, like 17 there. And he was a phenomenal person, and the kids are definitely going to miss him.
Should we
as well
say
as
his
me.
name?
Yes.
So his name is Daryl Huddleston. I've only ever known him as Tata.
Tata.
When I think of McChesney, that's who I think of. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank you.
mentioning that.
Councilor Majok.
Thank you. For time, I have item 17 to 20.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Mons, the fire chief. Number 7 is to amend an ordinance of an agreement with Wellnow, who is our occupational medicine that oversees our health program for the fire department. They're expanding services for us, and we're just looking to restart the dates of the agreement. Does anybody have any questions on that?
No. Any question? Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay there,
I'm good.
Councilor?
I'm good, yeah. 18.
18 is to get your approval for a memorandum of agreement with the union that represents our deputy chiefs. There was a dispute and a grievance was filed regarding the use of compensatory time, other known as accrued time, and this agreement resolves that dispute that was going on. We work with HR and the city legal department to come to this resolution.
So what happened there? This was not covered in the previous agreement?
This was not, oftentimes there's things in the contract that an issue gets raised, there's a dispute, a grievance was filed, and this agreement reflects the solution to the agreement. What ended up happening with this agreement, there was compensation time that ends up being time off or vacation days that was looked at differently from the two different parties, the city and the union. Because of that dispute, this was a resolution was These days were removed from the contract, and they were given a financial compensation for removing them and not going to arbitration.
Rick, you got
I
it?
just want to add that it's no additional cost to the city. It's just a changing of how that the monies is allocated. So no additional costs.
All right. Questions? All right.
And
Thank you.
Number 18 and 19 is for your approval to move forward with the authorization of bonds for our vehicle replacement program for our first response light fleet. There are EMS vehicles, our fire investigation vehicles, and our motor pool that does our inspections. Does anybody have any questions for that?
So I see that it is for the capital improvement for 2026.
Yes.
Right? And we are putting it now before even 2025 budget.
Yes.
Is that because of
the supply chain issue? So
still?
yes, sir. Yes. If we order some of these vehicles now, we won't expect them to come until the end of next year, or the end of this year, or the beginning of the calendar year of 2026. So we're just basically getting in line and being able to get these vehicles as soon as we can, because if you don't go as soon as you can, then you're pushed outside the calendar year and the fiscal years.
Questions? Last item, Chief.
That was both my
It's the
items.
same,
Number
okay.
19 and 20
Yes.
were the same item.
Got it.
Any questions?
No, that would be all.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor, you got,
So, item 21, I want to take it off, remove it, withdraw it. At the moment, I feel that we're in good place to take the pedal off, take the foot off the pedal a little bit, and allow the board and the community to do some work. Feel very confident in the current board and the work that they are doing, and we want to give them a space to do their work. And I want to thank my fellow councilors for being so diligent and effective in making sure that we fill all the board positions. So if it is okay with all of you, I would like to withdraw it.
appreciate the work you've been doing on this, Counselor Majok, and I agree with you. Let the new board settle in for everything.
I agree, Counselor. Thank you.
And, okay.
Any questions? All right, that would do it for me. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome, as they slowly file in, the Syracuse Youth Advisory Council to their first Common Council meeting under the direction of Councilor Paniagua. These are all your children, right?
These are my students. Yes, they are. Can you stand up so people can
Everybody
recognize
stand
you?
up, or you friend. Come on, everybody, yeah. Just, most of the city council are city high school graduates, although I lost my diploma a long time ago, and thank God nobody's asked for it.
Your diploma?
So,
My diploma's black and gold.
of course it is, Counselor. Counselor Gathers.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Of items 22 to 34. We'll start with items 22. We had a committee meeting on this yesterday with engineering. I believe that everything is all set to go. Now, unless there's any further questions, I won't have to worry.
I have one quick question about that. I mean, we're all actually in agreement. However, just if you can't identify today who are the companies that are doing whatever holes in our streets, right? How can, by implementing this program, how is it that you're going to be able to identify them? I mean, if you
The
can't,
ones
if
that-
you don't know today,
Are you
how are we
talking
going to know?
about
What's the
the
plan?
companies that are working without a permit?
Right. Is there a plan?
Well, we do eventually find out who they are, and then with our new fine schedule, we will be able to find them. And if they don't pay the fine, we will record who the company is, and the next, if they, we'll try and catch them or make them submit a permit, and advise them at that point.
So do we have enough staff to be out there coming out
We
and,
are-
and taking care of this?
I'll defer to Connor, but we are getting more staff.
Thank you, Mary. That was exactly the point I came up to make. So we're working to fill a position that was approved in last year's budget, intentionally held for this construction season. I believe the title is Road Restoration Manager, and that person will be responsible with ensuring the compliance of this violation, or this ordinance. Great.
But what
They're
about,
aware of that. I'm sorry, Council. Go ahead, Councilor.
I was gonna say, what about like someone like Sam's job? He
Yeah.
rides around prior, well, he did ride around to.
So I perhaps misspoke. This person will be playing point on coordinating with a number of other existing staff members to facilitate the enforcement of this ordinance. So this will be an incredibly important position with this ordinance in mind. All of the other team members that do cite and help to keep our partners in line will be continuing to play those roles. But just to make a clarification there, so Sam Perry does illegal setouts and code
Yes, I
enforcement
know.
violations, not the
I
road
was just
right
saying
of way.
somebody similar to what he does, like he's on the ground riding
Yeah,
around
it's a good
seeing
analogy.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's what.
So this person has not been hired yet?
No, this is part of last year's budget, but because the majority of the activity takes place in the construction season, we wanted to be fiscally prudent and hire this person in the lead up to this construction season.
And our semi-partners, Verizon and National Grid, they're aware of this whole new look on this, that we're going to actually like start enforcing?
Yep, we've been creating this ordinance in partnership with our partners. I'll let Mary
Yep.
take that one.
We've had a couple meetings with National Grid specifically, because they're our biggest customer.
Okay.
So they're aware of.
I congratulate you on doing this. I mean, this has been long overdue. There's nothing more frustrating in a neighborhood getting a new road and then Verizon comes in and rips up the road.
And
Some work.
I would say
Good
we've
coordination.
also improved coordination between building permits and, looking to make sure they apply for street cut permits. So there's been better communication over the last couple of years, and we do have, our staff are aware of the building permits, so they watch, they drive around and watch. So I think there's a coordinated, improved effort there.
And Mary, I was thinking about one of the questions I asked yesterday about the BZA and the CPC. Maybe there is a way, because I know Jake and Mira or someone from Jake's staff is there, can probably have whatever permits apply to that application at those hearings so that they know that this is your next step.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep, I agree.
Can I ask a little one, Mary? The block party permit fee is going up. I feel like we should be trying to incentivize our neighbors to come together and build community. Can we get a little info on why we're increasing that?
I will have to look into that one. I don't think it was a big increase.
Nonetheless.
I mean, I think we just increased, these fees haven't been increased in years, so I think we try to assess the value of that permit.
There's personnel
But I can
involved
look into
in
it
that, too.
specifically.
I mean, personnel from DPW dropping off barricades, picking up barricades, all that, and working with the neighborhoods, so it's probably justified, I would say.
I'll get you some information on that, Counselor.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do 23 and 24.
Connor Muldoon, Chief Operating Officer. So 23 and 24 are just reassignments of existing contracts. So Rubicon is the technology that provides the turn-by-turn directions and the route optimization for our snowplows and our sanitation. They were acquired by another company this past summer. So no changes, no terms to the existing agreement, just reassigning them to the entity that purchased that company.
Any questions on those? Perfect.
Thank
We'll
you.
go to 25 and 26. This is next to the.
Good afternoon again, Mary Robinson, City Engineer. 25 through 27 is seeker request, type 2 action for engineering services for the 1171 West Fayette Municipal Parking Lot. This is for an adjacent parking lot for the SPD building on West Fayette. 26 and 27 is the bond ordinance for the engineering design services for $100,000, bond authorization and project authorization.
Mary, is this next to Fowler?
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna take the field out?
No, nope, it's a little lot next, between Magnolia and West Fayette. There's
On the backside?
sort of nothing there
Yeah,
of
okay.
use.
And Mary, I also heard that it was going to be a use by the city staff and also the public. Is that just going to be free for all for public, or is there any?
I'm gonna defer to assessment.
Commissioner OJ, you in charge of parking now, I guess?
Yeah.
Magnolia
No,
Street?
we got a new boss for that, I think. Hi, Matt OJ, Commissioner of Assessment. This is first and foremost intended to accommodate police's new schedule in the event that they have, was it flex, surge staffing on the shifts. They're going to need a lot of room for employee parking. That only happens about 3 days a month, so we're not looking to spend $1.4 million on a parking lot that's going to be, vacant for the better part of a month. So this is going to be available. It's going to be regulated, but it's going to be available for other community use as needed.
And Matt, now that we're witnessing an increase in density in housing in that area, have we thought about doing overnight parking for a fee? Are we thinking about revenue generation?
We have. I mean, it stops there. We haven't gotten deeper into that. I'm sure this exists in the context of ongoing internal revenue enhancement discussions. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to invest in the infrastructure, we should be looking to enhance the neighborhood and to some extent monetize it as best we can, while keeping, the initial intent, which is getting 400 cars off the streets of downtown around 511 South State Street and getting the folks who work in this building places to store their personal vehicles during their shifts.
How was the PSB negotiations going along while we?
Oh, well, stopping short of negotiating in public, we've got the RFP. should that just be the
Thanks for
asterisk
laying
that
that out
precedes
for me,
everything I say? We did a walkthrough of the building with some prospective developers or brokers for developers last Friday. I believe the RFP closes on March 1st. Please let it be known far and wide that it's out there, it's available. Really excited about the opportunity. 2 acres of land in downtown Syracuse does not exist on the market terribly often. So we are looking to move on that so that we're not paying on the abstract and on this new lease at this time next year.
Any other further questions?
Thanks all.
Thank you, Commissioner OJ. We'll go to Commissioner Brand with the Water Department for the rest of the items, 28 through 34.
Good afternoon, councilors. Number 28, we're looking to get into an agreement with 120 Water to take over our residential lead water samples that we're required to do twice a year. We're looking to get into a 1-year contract with them, not to exceed $96,000, $96,247.
Commissioner, how do we identify 120 Water?
Buffalo uses them, and there's a few other places that use them across the country. They do residential testing, they do all the communications, they do, all the labs. They take care of the whole, the whole procedure.
How many houses are they? How many houses are on the list?
We have to test the minimum of 100 homes every 6 months.
Who was our previous?
We did it ourselves internally.
So now we're going, this was an RFP, we just picked this organization?
So we searched before we were gonna put out an RFP, and we couldn't find anyone to get it expedited because we have like a timeline. So we asked for the mayor to waive this process for 1 year, so that way we could get it moving while we look for a long-term solution before we fall behind for the EPA requirements.
Is this directly in response to what happened with the testing problems that we had?
This plays a role in it. We're looking to just, take it out of our hands, give it to a third party, and, a little more manageable.
The incident was corrected or disciplined, and staff know that wasn't the route to take. So.
That was all addressed, with the staffing.
And it just seemed like a lot.
It just gives us a little bit of more of with the public,
Right, and Commissioner, I think that one of the major issues we identified was the trust between the community and the government. bringing in a third party, I think, can help build that trust. What are we
That's what we're
doing
looking
to
to do.
notify the community and to let people know that now we're shifting from internally to a third party as a proactive step to rebuild that?
That's what we're looking to do.
And do we have a communication plan? What's,
I believe our comms has a communication plan. Once this kicks off, they'll let the public know. And so we have to submit a list to the Department of Health of all the homes we're looking to test, and we've already submitted that list. We put 200 homes on it, Tier 1 homes, and they review it. Then Onondaga County reviews it, then they send it to the State Health Department to review it.
We want to make
it's
sure
just-
that
it seems like
everybody's-
we're doing a really good thing here. Let's let people know that we're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure they have proper identification, all that, if they're out in the neighborhood. So
Commissioner, I see that there's, I guess the question is, as I read it here, will there be a filtration distribution involved, as I say here, right?
If we were required to do that, if anything was to change where we're required to do that, right now, we're not required.
Okay.
We've done it proactive ourselves, and we handed out filters to schools, children under 6, people, with health issues that, requested one, we got them one. But we were never mandated to do that, we just did it proactive.
I'm asking that because a couple of weeks back, I went to a city school district meeting, and outside of the meeting, there were filtration being handed out. I was wondering if that was a coordinated effort between the city and...
It was the city and the school district and the county.
Okay.
We all
Doing that-
coordinated
that's- okay.
together to give out the filters at the school
Do we know how
districts.
many we have given out so far?
I don't have the exact number. I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 6,000.
6,000.
I want to say in that ballpark that we've given out to.
Just in the city?
Just in the city.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to item 29.
So item 29 is an amendment with Cornell for their educational program. We've been doing business with them for 28 years. We're looking to just extend the contract with them. It's for our watershed program, very important.
Right, what about item 30?
Line 30 is we're looking to increase our funding for our Skaneateles watershed program for the Shotwell Creek. We're looking to increase the wetlands, work on the wetlands, which will help keep sediment out of the lake and stuff, which is a water quality thing.
All right, and then item 31.
Okay, so item 31 and 32 kind of go together. We're looking to bond for 25 million. We're looking to kick off our lead replacement program with 2,790 homes in the city of Syracuse that we've already replaced. In 2005 to 2007, we replaced the public side of the services. We're looking to go back in and replace all the private sides of the services now. And that kind of gives us a little bit of leeway to work on a bigger plan, less disruption to the roads, to the, so we can work with street repair and figure out a long-term plan. But this is to really kick it off. We can expedite it. I have a map if you would like.
Councilor Guthers? Yeah. Could I request a committee meeting? We've got about $35 million in items between 31 and 34. And I think rather than jumping into a $35 million investment, we'd like a little bit more information, more detail, both to us and to the public.
Thank you.
we all are aware of how much we're sort of under a mandate. We are under a mandate to do this, and I'm wondering, maybe we could have a meeting sooner than later on this. We got a $10,000 grant, so we're going to be bonding for 15 million. Oh, no, we're bonding for 25 million, then we get a $10 million grant to offset it. So,
So with this being said, Chief Driscoll as well, I know I repeated it once with the trees, but it is gonna be imperative that this maps out with all the other projects that are going on. So you already have yours mapped out?
Yeah.
Are you guys already talked to sidewalk and the
I've
tree?
been in contact with Steve, the arbiter. We're working on a plan for that. This will have minimal, these 2,700 will have no road work in the roads. These are private side only. That's from the stop to the house.
Right, so what I'm saying is, so I know, like, for instance, I'll just use mine for example. I know my tree, when you dig, it's gonna have to come up because it's all through there, right? When you're taking out, possibly you might have to take out, or a tree might be in the way, that there's another tree gonna be replaced. So I would love to make sure that everyone is on the same page, so we're not duplicating services.
We're in communication. We're working together to figure that all out. We've given him the list of the homes, and we're coming up with a game plan together.
When you guys find out, could you let council know?
We will.
Thank you.
Councilor, just to step in for a second, it's a matter of ongoing and active collaboration and coordination between our infrastructure departments. Even tomorrow, we have a meeting between our sidewalk list, our lead service list, and our road reconstruction to make sure that coordination is actively happening. So it is very much an ongoing effort between all of our infrastructure departments.
Thank you. When you get the list, can you just please let us know what the list is, so we can also let constituents know that this is gonna be happening?
Absolutely.
So we'll know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
with the timeline that we have
I
given.
think maybe Tuesday morning before the voting session, would that be okay with everybody? Because we're voting Tuesday, Monday's a holiday, correct? Okay.
That's right.
You want to have a committee meeting?
I think we should have a committee meeting, but
Okay.
I would like to be able to move on this on Tuesday, because it's such a critical thing. What do you think, Council Caldwell? You okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay, let's try to schedule something like at 10 or something like that.
Okay.
And 23 and 24 go together. That's bonding for $8 million for our water main replacement projects. We have a lot going on. And as we replace the mains, we will also be replacing the lead services in those areas.
I want to commend you, Commissioner Brad, for all the work you and your staff have done. Coming on my council district, so many residents for many years did not have proper running water. We've installed water pumps in the neighborhoods, High Street, Gilbert Ave, East Division Street. And what many did not see, 3 weeks ago, we had a problem at the end of Park Street, past the bridge, where we had a water main break. It was frozen. And he was out there in that frozen temperatures, trying to unblock that water main break, which was right over the bridge, and right next to it was a gas line. It was dangerous work, but he was out there, and I want to commend you, because we had a lot of issues with the property owners at the tail end. And that wasn't easy, that was hard. I want to commend you and your staff for what you have done, not just for the north side, but for the city. And it's not easy, it's hard, but you're always up to the task to get it done. Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Commissioner, did Councilor Nave help you out that night, or what?
He was down there. He was out there with us.
He's pretty emotional now. I was
You
wondering if he
had
helped
your shovels up,
He
you
was
ready?
with us.
You got your-
Traffic.
You're done.
Thank you, Councilor.
It's that, Old Liverpool Road is cut off, gotta go all the way.
President Pro Temp, if I may, I do have a waiver item that'll be on the agenda for Tuesday. I can have some discussion for it right now. This will be in regards to VO, so Eric can come up, and also if you want the other gentlemen to come up with you as well.
Yeah.
that'll work.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, good afternoon. Eric Ennis, Neighborhood and Business Development. Happy to introduce and before you, the legislation comes after a series of different discussions, ongoing discussions as it relates to the city's contract with VO for our micromobility program. VO has been an active and willing partner. We've been able to take over the last several months the council feedback that has been gathered and collected, and thank you all for the feedback as we've worked through this process. So before you, there are really kind of several key points, and if it's okay with the council, I just wanted to kind of briefly go through what those items are as part of the consideration for the contract. The first item certainly has to do with additional technology that VO has developed, particularly related to when bikes or scooters are tipped over, also doing more proactive awareness and accountability for users when those bikes and scooters are being parked. This is new technology that VO is deploying in their very first markets. Pleased to say Syracuse is going to be one of the first markets to have this new technology as part of a deployment in 2025 if ultimately the agreement is passed. In addition to that, there's also a greater emphasis on equity with this program, which was based on council feedback. There is new, as they're including it in the contract language, opportunity zones, which will actually have a reduced discounted fare for bikes and scooter rides that will start in these locations. And in addition to that, there is going to be a greater emphasis on making sure people are registering and participating in the access program or in that equity program. I think we all can agree we want to make sure that, especially for those eligible households, they have the ability to avail themselves of that benefit. The other piece is there's language in there that would actually create a mobility advisory group that would actually be assisting and working with community stakeholders to help make sure that the ability to promote the access and equity program as part of the system would be advanced. The other thing is that there is a revenue sharing component as well as part of the agreement. So now included in this version would be 15 cents of every single ride would actually generate revenue that would be invested back, and the city would have the ability to make use of those funds. And then the other item really just has to do with the contract period. So I like to call it the 1+1+1 scenario. Essentially, the council will have the ability, and the council would authorize any future extensions beyond the 1 year, but it is a 1+1 with those renewals built in. So again, on an annual basis, council will have to authorize that. And the other thing is, the line of communication has been extremely strong with VO, but also encourage that VO is ready and willing to continue conversations with councilors over the next year as the system were to theoretically be redeployed. So that being said, I am happy to take any questions, but just wanted to give you that overview of what's before you.
Councilor Williams, do you have anything you want to add?
Yep. I'd just like to thank Eric and Corey and Connor and everyone on the administration side that helped out getting to where we're at. I'd like to point out we have Jeff Hoover?
Jeff Hoover.
Jeff
Yep.
Hoover from VO. He flew from California to join us today, and he will be here afterwards for anyone on the council that would like additional information on anything related to the contract that will be before us.
You didn't bring no son, so I don't want to talk. You brought son with you? Son.
So Eric, I want to broach a subject of safety, and I know we had somewhat discussion around this.
Sure.
Right? Have we entertained at all? Because I know other communities have around helmets and everything else. Have we explored? Have had any of those discussions? And I know it's a challenging effort, but what's that like?
I think some of it is cultural. It just in the participation I've had in the process is that we certainly want to be encouraging of proper safety mechanisms. The way the app works too, it is proactively informing users of the different safety things they need to keep in mind. But even I know that VO in the past has directly participated in helping make sure people are aware of safe riding and what safe riding means. Promoting the use of a helmet because of the fact that there's just safety benefits to that. And I think that as we've talked about with VO is that public awareness is just a very important piece of that. And I think it's not just the awareness of the equity program and what the equity program can benefit, but even just what does it mean to do safe riding? And I will say safe parking, because we do want to make sure that the pedestrian, sidewalk, and other areas are clear, and that we are improving upon a lot of the feedback that the council's provided is making sure that people are parking and ending their ride correctly. So I think it's a combination of not just promoting safety, but also what does it even mean to properly use the system too?
Yeah, I would really like to still on VO to really figure that out for us as well. I know it's a lot of stuff to be taken on at once, but I think safety, helmet, and all of those stuff, as other communities have tried in other ways of those type of rides. So
sure,
I would really like to see a plan on that, or at least a vision around what does that look like? Because it's a good program, but at the same time we have to put safety mechanism in place.
So Eric, what are we doing to improving so we don't have the issues we've had, multiple just dumping on someone's lawn, dumping on their driveways, they can't get out. I got a lot of complaints. There were multiple dumping. We had 9 on the lawn of my church, 9 of them. What are we doing to, because it's hurting our neighborhood.
Yep.
And what are we going to do
Yeah.
about that?
So I know just as we include as part of the agreement, I think that just that's kind of how, when I mentioned saying when you end your ride, making sure it's ending properly. And I think these are the types of scenarios we also do not want to see happen. And so I think as part of that and as part of the new technology, again, Syracuse is going to be one of the first cities. There's dozens of communities VO is in, but they've been able to prioritize Syracuse as part of this. And we're going to be studying and monitoring the benefits of that new technology.
And are we regularly checking the VO bikes for safety? That if there's a problem with the brake or
Well,
anything?
I was going to ask, as far as
Yeah.
on the same line with the safety and the brakes, is there a component in the new app or AI for feedback from the person who utilized it to say like the brakes weren't working well, or one of the tires needed air or something like that?
Yeah, so I think, and I appreciate the question because I want to make sure you're hearing it directly from VO. I'll have Jeff can speak a little bit to that. I know there is a feedback system mechanism now in the app,
Oh,
and
okay,
when there are challenges or issues, they can flag those. The other thing is there are staff from VO, and there's many of them are city residents that are actively working on the system now. But Jeff, do you want to just help speak more to that?
We get the Laker fan up here.
I live in Oakland, actually, so I'm a Warriors fan, if anything. But I grew up in Buffalo, so SU hoops was near and dear to my heart. Thank you all, first off, for having me here and hearing this item. I'm really grateful for council's partnership, and the administration's work. Could not say enough to have these wonderful partners, and it's really that type of work that makes these systems work at the end of the day. So I wanted to recognize that. I think to very directly answer the question on the sort of vehicle safety piece. So actually, I also want to recognize a colleague here, Hamid. He's our regional head mechanic, and so he's not only responsible for the good work of the vehicles in Syracuse, but vehicles all over the Northeast. He's a Syracuse resident, and just one really great example of the staff that we employ directly as W-2 workers. We don't rely on contractors, people who may choose to show up or not, as sort of a gig worker if they have kind of other irons in the fire. So the reason I say that is we train our staff, our technicians and our mechanics, that every vehicle they touch, especially the technicians that are out in the field, they perform sort of a several point check on every vehicle, no matter the reason they touch it. It could be simple as tipping it upright. It could be swapping a battery. But they test the brakes, they test the throttle, they ensure the sort of the handlebars are stable, among several key points to make sure that the next rider is going to have a safe vehicle to ride. However, if something happens to a vehicle sort of between touches and it just goes from rider to rider, and you come upon a vehicle that does not feel sturdy for whatever reason, directly in the app, there is a mechanism to report that to customer service, and our customer support team, as well as the local team, both have the capability to remotely sort of disable a vehicle, and so the next rider cannot take it. And that can be done in a matter of minutes.
Okay, I think we all got to be cognizant of the fact that we're of the safety factors and all that, but many of the folks that use VO are people that just trying to get to work. It's not just all recreation. So, and a lot of our, as we well know, a lot of our residents don't have access to motorized vehicles. So it's a good option.
Absolutely, and if I may, we're actually really excited to be introducing a new sort of a membership in this coming year that makes, and we call it commuter, as a matter of fact. And so it enables 2 trips every day of the week for a flat rate. And so it's a way for like the really heavy users, especially folks who may not have a car, to access our system in a really cost-effective way, especially relative to that actually almost puts it on par with Centro, if you really sort of use the full benefit.
So for you or Eric, I'm sorry.
No, it's just
For you and Eric, what dictate a location or placement of the equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. So several factors. Anything from kind of existing origin and destination data. We look at where people are starting and stopping their trips. that is useful, but it certainly actually, it does cause kind of a chicken and the egg question. Are people starting their trips in a location because that's useful or because that's where the vehicle happened to be? And so we also look at the data where people are actually opening their app if they've shared their location, their phone location data with us, which they're not obligated to do, to be clear, but they may. And so, getting a sense of, am I looking at the VO app to see if there's a scooter near my house or place of employment, decisions that way. But really, lastly, our conversations and the data we share with the city. I think there's been some really exciting data we've seen over the couple of years since we've launched in 2021, where the city's installed new bike lanes over the course of a winter, and then you can see our vehicle traffic actually shift into the bike lane. I'm making these street names up, of course, but from 2021, all the traffic went down First Street, the bike lane was implemented over that winter, and then 2022, it all flowed towards Second Street because folks wanted a safe place to ride. And so these decisions are also going to be driven in part by the city's kind of much more broad and holistic set of traffic engineering choices, and the fees we're paying as part of this new proposed agreement will certainly help drive that because it's going to be money for new parking infrastructure, new bike racks, and things like that. And certainly we will, raise our hands to be the first in line to leverage that infrastructure.
This is going to be a waiver agenda. I think maybe any of the councilors have any other questions. You're going to hang around for a little while. You can talk. And then we can make a decision. But you're okay with this, Councilor Williams, to be on the waiver? Okay, so thank you very much. And I'd like to
Thank you all, councilors.
Finish it up. So, okay, now it's up to me. Special permit, item 35. Councilor Jones-Rouser?
Yes, I'm gonna hold that still.
You want to hold that?
Yes.
Okay, we're holding that. 36 and 37, that's, who's handling that? Vaughn is handling that? Okay. This is a shelter tax agreement, correct?
Actually, this is for item 36.
Yeah, 36 and 37. Or are you just doing 36?
Just 36, yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Vaughn Davis with the Office of Management and Budget. Item 36 is just to request the amendment of Ordinance 577, naming the Assistant Director of Equity Compliance and Social Impact as the responsible local official, from Rebecca Lumpkin to myself, Vaughn Davis, as I am the current Assistant Director for Diversity, Equity, Compliance, and Social Impact.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you're going to be are you?
I am the current
Oh, so you're
Assistant
nominating yourself?
Someone has to do it.
Jeez. That's okay. Okay, I like that. Okay. Okay, now I'm thoroughly confused. Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
Any questions? Vaughn, okay. 37 is the, thanks, Vaughn.
Thank
you.
Yes, the Commissioner Parkey.
Is that a lateral move?
Are you okay?
I think all the students really like Hogan's parking joke.
Jeez, it's tough being boss here. Okay, so this
Hello again,
is-
everybody.
This is a shelter tax agreement,
I'm
right?
requesting council authorization for shelter rent agreement exempting 2 properties on Furman Street from taxes. An entity stood up by Housing Visions is going to develop 6 units, filling in some vacant lots over there. Standard 15-year deal, $550 a unit, or 10% of gross revenues, less utilities, whichever is greater. And I believe we're in negotiations on an escalator clause, Councilor Williams.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, Councilor Williams will go to.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan. I have items 38 through 42. 38 will be held, and 39, I think Commissioner OJ.
39? No.
No, 38 is out.
We would like to seek council authorization to amend ordinance number 23 of 2025 that I spoke about 2 sessions ago. This is the latest amendment to our One Park Place agreement. We've been in a lease there for about 2 years. We've got office space on the 7th, 5th, and 1st floors. And this finally seeks to put a bow on signage work, anticipated but not initially funded when we first entered into the agreement.
This is interior and exterior?
Interior and exterior.
I get lost there every time.
That makes us done with OPP.
Thank you.
All right, item 40 will be discussed in executive session.
We have, just a reminder, we have an executive session right after this, okay?
Okay.
And 41.
Assessment would like to request council authorization to retain an appraiser to give us a full appraisal report on the property at 726 South Salina Street, the former Benjamin Rush Center, now known as the Sarah Logan Center, which has been operated by Upstate. It's a half-vacant building with office space and a daycare center for about the past 8 years. As everybody knows, we began an RFP process with several city-owned, school district-operated properties probably about 8 months ago. This property came onto our radar, not as a possible acquisition, but as a possible relocation spot for Syracuse City School District administrative staff currently working out of 725 Harrison Street. We would very much like to convene an RFP committee to discuss the possible relocation options. But in order to do so, we really do need to get this data point to better inform A, what we'll be talking about, and B, whatever counteroffer the city might be prepared to make.
So do we have an appraisal for the Syracuse City School District building?
We don't, and I don't think I'd come before you without asking for one prior to having some resolution to what the disposition plan might be, but we're not quite there yet. We really think this is the first step in the process, identifying a relocation spot before,
Our final objective is that we know we want to get rid of that building, and whether it's Upstate or whoever, but shouldn't we have an appraisal on the building so we know what it's worth before all this?
Certainly, and we do that prior to convening an RFP committee, but I do think it's a little premature to say that we're committed to divesting of the asset. There are some, good possibilities out there, but I think we need to be a little more informed before determining if that's our definite course of action.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're trying to be informed about what the worth of that building is.
That's right.
So we can get that appraisal, or, I mean, I think why wait around? I mean,
I'm loath to spend our money without being sure that we're committed to that course of action, but I'm certainly, my mind is not closed to that.
Are you saying, just so I can understand it, are you saying a course of action that you're not sure that we want to get rid of the building? Is that what it is? But we have an RFP out for it.
That was really designed to educate us about what the market would bear. Were we looking at a $100,000 vacant former school or a slightly more valuable piece of land? We've gotten responses to that RFP. We've been vetting them internally, but we're not quite prepared to convene the RFP committee and make a recommendation to council at this time. At that time, we would certainly want to have a real appraisal report in hand.
I think it'd be better for the administration to apprise us of what the bids were on it, RFP, what that brought, and then probably we could find and appraise the property to find out exactly what it's worth.
I'll definitely draft a one-pager and get that before all of you.
Before you ask us to do it. I mean, at the end, it's going to come before us.
Yes, yeah. Local law for that, it'd be an ordinance for this, should we elect to go forward. But it's a little premature to say that we might be acquiring this property. We just need to get more informed about financially how that might look if we were to acquire this.
So the only reason that we would acquire the South Salina Street property is if we were going to move central offices over there.
Yes.
And that's all dependent upon the interest in central offices.
If we can't afford relocation space, if the school district doesn't think they can bear that cost, we wouldn't be going anywhere. This will inform that. It really is the condition precedent for everything that should come forth after that.
I'm just, and I know I'm asking again, but it seems like they one ways off the other. Because if that building is worth so much more, that's more of a negotiation you can have. But if we really don't know, we know what they bid for, but we don't know what an actual appraisal is.
Yeah, I think I agree completely with that. I just, as far as chicken and egg, we very strongly believe that we should be addressing the relocation feasibility first, and we need a price point to determine that.
I mean, certainly the use of the building is school district, but the building is ours, correct? The city.
725 Harrison?
Well, yes.
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, why wouldn't we what we just went through with Eastwood and everything else, I think it'd behoove all of us to get an appraisal on
Yes,
that.
and I would not come up here asking for legislative action without that in hand, but we're just not there yet.
Any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Al. 42, requesting a couple of roll corrections. 109-15 Otisco in Wyoming was a property that was a beneficiary of a pilot agreement. The beneficiary elected to terminate that this past year, meaning the full exemption came off in the middle of a roll year. So we need to correct the 24-25 roll to reflect the loss of that full exemption. With the two 300 block of Montgomery properties, those are the two properties that comprise the YMCA. There's some kind of water billing, I should say a water meter discrepancy. Both of those were improperly coded, so we need to correct last year's roll to reflect the proper water codes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, all.
Okay.
All set.
Counselor Jones-Rouser.
Thank you, Pro Temp. I have items 43 through 47.
Good afternoon, Council. Jake Dishaw, Deputy Commissioner of Code Enforcement and Zoning Administration. Item number 43, we're seeking approval for an agreement to work with a local respected registered architect to provide some additional training to our plan reviewers in the permit office. So this is with Hillary Donahue. She is a certified code official, well respected. I've known her for quite some time. And our plan review staff is new in the permit office, a lot of new permit techs, a lot of new residential plan reviewers. And this would provide both office training, but also site visits for all the different components for residential permitting.
It's just training, no certification or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Our staff gets their certification through the state, but this is just additional training than what we provide to give them some, more detailed one-on-one time with a registered architect, both going through the code in the office, working through real examples, but also going out in the field with her as well.
And she's an active member of TNT and quite a neighborhood person, so I think this is a great idea here.
I think so, too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. 44 and 45, we are all set with those. They should have passed last week. I screwed up somewhere. 46 and 47 are being held, so we're good.
Okay, we got to take a motion to go in executive session.
Just to clarify, it's for the settlement of item number 40. It's good to specify.
Okay, for number 4.
Reason.
Okay.
I believe we're going to try to use the conference room like we did last
Oh,
time.
We need to go back there, right? Yeah, just to say.